I'm boofing it already. This is the wrong text. I'll just delete that for now. Levia, gamers, rise up. That's good enough for now. But hey everybody, hopefully you all had a wonderful Valentine's. It was pretty great on my end. I learned how to make beef Wellington and actually cooked a little bit for Sandra, which was nice. I think the background music might be a little loud. Let me drop that down. It's so hard to control this little node. Alright, but you can let me know if it's too loud or what. I think my microphone just like doesn't pick up super well. I had to try to juice it. So if the audio is bad, just let me know. I will try to fix all those things. The whole point is to get back to a pretty crispy stream here. As you can see, a couple things have already been fixed. Look at this one. We have the viewer count back on screen, and we have the chat back on screen, and we have the little pop-up also functioning. Although, you know what? It is cropped. So I can fix that live. Let's see. No, it is chat pop. It is this one. All right. Let's make sure it doesn't bleed over. There we go. That looks pretty good. Can fix that. Or there we go. Things should be back to where they at least were prior. And there's there's something pretty fun we could do as well. So check this out. It might lag for a second. But I was watching. All right, it's gonna lag for a second, but we're back. I was watching Fino, and he set up like a green screen type situation, and we can also do that here. Although no green screen, which is kind of funny. It's this new like AI technology that can auto crop the background for you. It's all part of NVIDIA. If you've got an NVIDIA graphics card, it's just like something you can enable in NVIDIA Broadcast, and it's pretty good. Like, this is not a green screen. It's just like doing this with apparently AI aid. So that's kind of interesting. Might do some fun stuff with that moving forward. But for now, you know, I don't really mind the background. The background's just my game room. And you can see little bits of Levia all over the place. I think we'll just leave it. But Carl, Fatherless Joe, Napoleon, if you're still here, you know, solid. Thanks for being here. We're just going to spend a couple hours today playing hopefully like a more legitimate Levia list for RTN season. I will not be playing in any RTNs this weekend, and I don't know if I'm playing in any at all this season. I might travel out for some draft ones just to try to go ahead and like win a CNC, right? That whole thing. Actually, if you haven't heard about that, it's not marketed super well on Flesh and Blood's side, but there is that whole like deathmatch arena scoreboard going on where if you contribute points winning a limited event with one of these heroes, you then, if you're the highest pointed hero at like the end of the set, or I guess end of the season, however they mark that, then you will be sent a special art CNC for contributing to the win of that hero in the deathmatch. Which is like, it's really cool. I hope it doesn't have any repercussions of people kind of towards the end of RTN season noticing that, oh, KO is like way higher up than all the other heroes. Or like, you know, Kassai is just by far number one, some situation like that. And then people just go into their draft RTNs forcing those heroes because they want a CNC. I mean, I would probably do that. So I hope other people wouldn't necessarily do that because it might hurt the integrity of a draft. But then maybe you get situations where, because you know people are going to do that, you can just be like a Guardian gamer and just have a stronger deck, right? Did they confirm it is a CNC? It is a CNC, yes. They haven't released the art for it yet. Last I asked LSS for the Calling Hartford coverage, they could not send me the art in time. It was not ready. So the art is still brewing on this special promo CNC. I don't know if that means maybe they draft up a different version for like the hero who won. That would be kind of cool. Or if it's just like a generic CNC art. Not sure on that front. But yes, it is a Command and Conquer. A Command and Conquer. So yeah, I might go and try to play in a draft RTN just to get a CNC. That sounds pretty darn cool. I mean, it's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. I'd have to, first of all, win a draft RTN, which is no easy feat. You also have to be playing like the right hero who's going to win that RTN. Yeah, there's also not that many RTNs even in my area. I think there's only like 2 close by, And since I won't be playing in this national season anyway because of other things, I'm busy. I don't necessarily, they want me for other reasons other than playing, believe it or not. So yeah, I wish everyone who is playing an RTN season the best of luck. And for everyone in my area, you won't have to face me, so don't worry about your Levia matchups. The other Levia player who lives in upstate New York has since left and become a Riptide main. But David Mink, he was actually on the channel. He's the only person to have given Riptide LL points yet, was someone who lives like about an hour away from me. So this area is pretty spicy, and I would like to, follow the local meta pretty closely just for fun. But for anyone who is playing Levia this RTN season, I think the most grounded in reality list, the one that is not spicy, but like legitimately going to perform and has like very proven track record between my X1 run at Worlds, in CC, between the top 4 at the 20K, and then Pat also taking that list to top 8 of the 10K. We're just talking about the Shade in Death Hydra Tear Limb from Limb list. That list is just so insanely solid. It's so insanely solid that if you wanted to go pick up a Levia deck, not be too spicy with heavy hitters additions, you can realistically bring that deck to an RTN and I think have an incredible deck. Absolutely incredible deck. Sick. If you kick this cold, you're planning on bringing Levia to Albany this Saturday. Oh, dude, the Albany one. Okay, if there was one I was going to drive out for, I actually really wanted to go to the Albany one. It's like a 3-hour drive for me, but I love the Albany crew. They are some spicy fellows. Connor, my teammate, lives out there. Jeremy, who's been on the channel with Red Hot Dromai, he lives out there. Brian Gottlieb lives out there, and I don't know if he'd actually be there, but it would be cool to just run into him. And then, it would just be such a fun way to kick off the season, just kind of show up and just have fun. But I have a dinner party this Saturday. Oh, just darn adult things, So I can't make that one out. The drive is just too long for me to make it back in time for the dinner party. But best of luck, Jay. Best of luck, Jay. So here we go. I think if we're going to, treat Levia pretty seriously for RTN season, we got to take a look at what this young lad wearing the brain cap thought up. And that really is I hope it's in the description here. We're talking about that Tear Limb from Limb Levia list. And this one was really born out of a conversation I had with Jasmine, of all people. The Jasmine who, what did she win? She was on the channel. She won an RTN, I'm pretty sure is what it was. Yes. Or ProQuest. Jasmine won a ProQuest out in Kuala Lumpur. And she convinced me of a way of building Levia that was much more comfortable running 1-ofs. And I'm a fan of 2-ofs. 2-ofs has been something I'm like always trying to narrow down in not only a Levia list, but I think in general, because you see so many cards in Flesh and Blood, you don't actually need to just jam 3-ofs in a deck just because you want to see it at all. Kind of like you would do in a different card game, because you're not seeing your whole deck. You want max copies of cards because seeing one is good enough, some kind of thought processes like that. But in Flesh and Blood, because you actually can play so many games where you see your whole deck, you don't need to jam multiple copies of a card if they're more detrimental to draw together than they are to just see once per game. So normally that means when I was trying to tune Levia list, I would bump copies down to 2-ofs for cards that are very good, but they're just so very bad when clumped. And a starting point, as you can see, very much so, like in this list, was running pulping as a 1-of just means it's actually impossible. It's actually impossible to draw this next to another pulping, which is just so awful. So just the worst feeling in the world to just have agency sapped from you when you draw these 2-cost red non-blocks next to each other. They don't pay for each other, right? Which is something that at least Slithering Shadowpede does. If you draw 2 Slithering Shadowpede, you can pivot your turn to at least using one to pitch into the other. Boom, your hand is functional. But that is just not possible with these 2-cost red non-blocks. So in the past, this was something that I would say, okay, let me trim it down to 2. But after talking to Jasmine, who won that ProQuest with a whole slew of 1-ofs, her thought process very similar, but she's just looking for not so much consistency behind 1-ofs, but the opportunity that these one-ofs could bring to the table. So what that means is you can just pivot not to actually wanting to ever play the pulping as like part of your game plan, but if it comes up, it comes up. So shifting some ratios down like that, we had some one-ofs that made their way into the list, and I was just so happy, just so incredibly happy with how this list performed. We got to see it on coverage. I did scuff a game by arsenaling a convulsions, or arsenaling a Hydra instead of arsenaling a convulsions versus a dash matchup. I did lose that game, but that was like 1000% my fault. Beat Michael Hamilton, and then a very tight game against Brody, where if I, once again, didn't punt, probably could have made it to the finals. But, also had a game against Zach Bunn from Team Covenant with this list on camera at Worlds. So I think there's enough content about this list out there to sell people on it. And in the League of Levia, Wet the System, for example, this morning was talking about how much he believes like in this core list. And he's someone who's very picky and choosy. And for someone like that to believe in the list, well, we got to just bring it back, don't we? Because I also believe in the list. And if you've got two great Levia minds like already seeing the pros of this list, then, well, it's actually three. I mean, Pat Eschke also played this list and got top 8 at the 10K. So there we go. 3 Levia minds already that really believe, and I'm sure there's so many more. Anyway, what's up, Sammy? What's up, Sammy? Oh, you know what? Let's just look at the chat real quick, because we can do this now. Look, Sam's saying hi to everyone. Taylor says, thinking of selling a big heavy pull to pick up some Levia staples like Carrion Husk and Scabs. That's a great move. There's no way... Okay, look, even if Levia is fantastic, there's no way that she just LLs in the blink of an eye. She's never going to be that type of hero. The player base has not really been sold on her for so long that I think even if she is like a flavor of the month deck, she's not just going to randomly win like, a whole slew of callings and just disappear in the blink of an eye. She still only rewards the very dedicated player base, and those people will probably pick up a good handful of wins this season. I'm like almost sure of it. But I don't think, buying Husk and Scabs is a bad investment at all. She'll be playable for a good while. I mean, hell, she's got less LL points than KO, folks. KO in 1 week of being out has more LL points than Levia does. And Levia's been out for like 3 years. So there you go. There you go. And I still think Levia is stronger than KO. It's just the people won't play her. Morning League. Oh, Ian's in the chat. Always great to have some brute action to listen to while driving the coffee van around. Oh, Ian, why can't you drive all the way to upstate New York, my friend? I'm dying. I am dying for some coffee. This morning, I woke up to have to handle the internet situation. Legitimately, if you guys were here for the 12-hour stream, the internet died twice. And I feel like that's just a curse that just hovers over my head anyway because of streaming all the battle-hardened events and callings and all that. Like, the internet is always just out to get me. It's something I don't personally control, It's just the cell towers hate me. Maybe I've got tinfoil in my body somewhere. But there was an issue with my home internet. There actually was. I called Spectrum, and they said, oh, man, your coax cable is damaged. We're going to have to go send someone to fix it. So a dude came out this morning, and he tore out, like, the entire... like physical cable. It was spliced from like the side of the house, and he goes, oh no, this is bad, it's damaged, it's drooping, we're gonna have to run a new one down through the basement. So the internet is like back to apparently better than it's ever been. This house is old. Now I rent a very it's a great house, it's big, it's good bang for your buck, but it does have some infrastructural issues like that. And hey, I never knew the internet was not performing the way it was supposed to for apparently years now. It just took like that one drop on stream for me to catch this issue. And so yeah, hey, we're back to having hopefully perfect internet. Knock on wood again, because like I said, it's always out to get me. Seriously, says Sam. Seriously, to what degree? The LL point thing, that should be true, because right now, oh my gosh, wait, I shouldn't have full screen. Living Legend Fab. Yeah, it should be true that KO has more points already because they changed the battle hardens. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. KO has 40. KO has 40. Levia has 24. Look at that. Look at that. 24 points for Levia. I believe maybe 10 of them have come from me. What have I won? I think that's accurate. I'm pretty sure I've won like 4 of the smaller circuit events with Levia at least. But the points fluctuate constantly, so not every season is worth the same amount of points. But yeah, Levia still does not have like a battle-hardened win. I think she should. I mean, the Runaways, for one, I've been feeding them these fantastic Levia lists, and they have top-8'd back-to-back. Jessie top-8'd, Pat top-8'd like 3 times now with Levia. I got my top 4 in, and all this stuff. But unfortunately, none of that has translated to the win yet. So she's still, look at that, 24 points. 24 points. And that's crazy, because I'm telling you, in terms of power ranking, she's doing some of the most broken things you can actually do in Flesh and Blood right now. Demi-Hero is busted. Like, it actually is. You have to play so tight to make the deck look as good as it's supposed to. Mansant, where are you in New York, if you don't mind? I live in Geneva, New York, which, I really don't care about doxing myself here, because if you can make it all the way out to New York, that's a good thing. I'd welcome the company. But yes, I live in Geneva here. So here's New York. Here's the New York people think of, right? You tell anyone not from the US New York, they think of literally this island. Manhattan? Where's Manhattan? They think of this island. Sometimes they think of this island, but they do not think of the 5.5-hour drive to get up to the tip of Lake Seneca, which is, this is where I live. So you can see it's about an hour to Rochester, an hour to Syracuse, and then an hour to Ithaca. And those are like the closest cities. It's ridiculously remote. Ridiculously remote. There we go. That's why my in-person gameplay is lacking, because there's literally no one out here. I know the closest person to me I know that plays Fab lives in Penn, which is like a 15-minute drive away. So within 15 minutes, there's one more Fab player. And he actually did come over one time. I did that live stream with some friends maybe like a year ago. And Nick was there. So I could do more in-person stuff. It's just slim pickings in terms of variety of players. But if you guys like Nick, I can definitely invite him back over. Husk is a super good investment. Shadow will always come back and often will want Husk because it's Husk. Yes. Although, interestingly, Vincent, another Shadow hero, very playable. Actually, not even a hot take. Vincent is like kind of playable right now. Yanji from Team Runaways was putting in a ton of time on Vincent, and his verdict was he will not play her at the Pro Tour, but if other people are on board with playing her as like an anti-meta pick, he was absolutely down to put more time in, because the deck is like surprisingly playable, and he figured out some really cool things with the hero. So we're keeping it a little under lock and key as to what the build is exactly, just in case it ends up being something spicy. But when good players play these, rogue decks, they actually are quite impressive. They really can be quite impressive. We saw Teklo make top 4 last weekend, and that was insanely impressive. Connor Davenport's a great player, and he made Teklo look sick. Good players can pick up rogue decks and do things like that. So, Flesh and Blood's just so good in that regard. Shoutouts to Nick, real Rhinar Chad. Oh, yeah. But see, that's a little bit of a problem. Nick is a Rhinar one-trick. I'm a Levia one-trick. Do you want just, who draws Blood Rush nonstop for in-person gameplay? You're about 90 minutes away. Would love to hit up an event you're at sometime. Yeah. I go to an armory in Canandaigua sometimes. But that's about it as far as me driving around. Sandra and I share one car. And at first it's like, a drive to Syracuse. It's only like an hour away. That's not bad. But it's the hour drive back. It's the fact that my car is like getting kind of old. It's just not as easy to do all the driving. But if I wanted to no life Fab, I could probably hit up, pretty decent armories in the area. Ithaca doesn't have any armories, but between Rochester and Syracuse and Canandaigua, I could go to more. I just don't. It's a lot of driving. You've got it just as bad. There are like 3 stores that run armories in the entirety of Maine. Oh, you live in Maine. Sick. Actually, believe it or not, Lee from the Tavern Brawlers also is from Maine. And he talks about how beautiful it is and also how long a drive apparently it is from New York. I thought it was close. But, turns out there's a couple states in between and it's a lot of mountains. But I've been thinking about a Maine trip. Although you're not selling me on it. There are like 3 stores that run armories in the entirety of Maine, and for larger events it means driving to New Hampshire. Yep, that's the remote Northeast for you. Do you have a Levia list for beginners? I absolutely do. Recently we did a video. We did a video called the best $50. Well, I guess it's called Budget Levia Deck, but it's the best $50 you'll ever spend. And the whole idea was, you know, let's give you a roadmap for building a Levia deck. So there's a base list that legitimately cost $50. And that's kind of the beauty of some of the power cards in Levia being Majestics, not Legendaries. Yes, the Legendaries are good, but the core of what's going to make a deck impressive comes from like Blood Rush and Tear Limb from Limb, which are not expensive at all. And then she's got a really strong suite of even like lower rarity equipment, Spoiled Skulls, Nuts. And you can follow through the video here, and I talk about the upgrade path of like what's the next $50 you can spend, right? What's the next $80, $30, like on and on. And then I play a game with it. So that's a pretty good recent deck for you to check out in terms of like Levia upgrades. You'll have to add your own spice in terms of fitting in like heavy hitters cards, but it is pretty good. Pretty, you know, I think I kind of delayed on making a video like that for a long while, so that's the kind of thing I should probably revisit more. But so many fellow New Englanders. Well, it's, hey, what do they say? What, like 70% of the U.S. lives on the East Coast? I guess that's... We live in the part that's not populated, though, so that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. But in terms of, you know, having good access to events, we are very lucky, even being in New England. SCG is based in Virginia, and so that whole circuit is so drivable, so utterly drivable. It's pretty sick. But okay, here's what we're going to do. I wanted to make a copy of the Tear Limb from Limb list. And try to work around not compromising the deck's game plan or like, you know, what its successes even are, by adding in the new heavy hitters cards. So I think pretty clearly cards like Apex Bonebreaker are just strict upgrades for the way the deck was playing. There were a lot of times where I was rolling scabs. That is true, but I think that just means you cut some of the Scabskins cards. Like the Savage Feast very much was a Scabskins card. You could try to add in agility instead to make it better, but the agility stuff is like really opportunistic rather than game plan. So I still think probably cutting a Savage Feast moving forward makes sense. I also don't think, after playing the list a lot more, Triple Shaden or Triple Tear was really the right way to go about it. I do really, really like Smashback Alehorn, but perhaps not as a 3 of. Because once again, the whole clumping dilemma. You don't want to clump blue 2 blocks. And then kind of same thing with Agile Windup. Where Agile Windup, pretty strong, not something you want to draw multiples of. So I think you can start to dip into the 2 of deck building playstyle with Levia here to be a lot happier with how the deck shakes out and plays. So I'm getting a call from Sandra. That's interesting, because she's only right outside the door. Hello? Hello? Okay, I don't know what she wants. She's in the next room if she needs me. But here we go. Looking at the list, the 2 of Writhing and 2 of Hungering were more for synergy pieces next to the Tear Limb from Limb. If we're dropping the Tear Limb from Limb, there's a world where we can be happier cutting some of the 2 costs. For now, let's move the Pulping into the maybe board. The other thing to note is the Yellow Hungering Slaughter Beast was something we were running because the sideboard plan was strictly to fatigue Mechanologist. You basically did almost no other sideboarding. It was just, oh, it's a mech? I want a free win. I'm going to side out everything that, you know, doesn't block, anything that, you know, forces Blood Debt, which would be like a Mark of the Beast, which is why it's not in the list, just to play defensive cards instead and make mech free. So I think if mech is still pretty big in your area, that's something you can absolutely do. No problem. No problem with that kind of playstyle. But if we don't want to do that into mech, it really does free up a lot. And I think because we know Kano is a pretty real deck right now, we do want to make sure that we have... We do want to make sure... Oh my gosh, I can't click the right buttons. They keep moving. Let's remove this. Remove this. We do want to make sure we have the Kano tech. And actually, hooves in general is pretty strong right now. So let's add the hooves back and the cloak back. So there's our Kano equipment. The pulping actually is pretty important versus Kano anyway. And Dromai, it's pretty good. So let's go ahead and just put the pulping as legitimately a sideboard piece for those matchups. Into mech anyway, we do want some form of item destruction. The one that feeds into an aggressive game plan still would be smashing performance. So we can add that back. And then there are matchups where the Shaden doesn't do anything. And since we have Apex, I think that does mean we care about Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer over the send packing, because when you're running Art of War in a list still, I really, really like having cards that are paid for by yellows, just because you can clump these cards. You can draw like double Art of War. You can draw Art of War Blood Rush, and before one of those power cards is in your arsenal, they don't really work very well together when drawn up. So having CNC paid for by a yellow, I still find deeply, deeply important. In that other Triple Howl list that I was playing, cutting Art of Wars entirely meant that I don't really care as much about declumping yellow draws, so send packing was just better at that point because it does have synergy with Tear Limb for Limb, it does have synergy with Blood Rush, so you'd rather play towards that. So where are we at? We are at 80 cards right now. This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. We've got a core game plan that is trying to play not towards any like one synergy piece. It's very much going to be an opportunistic way of playing Levia. Is it an Art of War hand? Cool, send it. Is a Blood Rush hand? Cool, send it. Looks decent. Looks decent. The inventory, we have Anti-Illusionist, Anti-Wizard. We've got kind of our late game piece versus slower decks instead of the CNC. And then Smashing Performance versus mech specifically. Our bases look pretty covered. Look pretty covered. I think we can ship this and just see how it feels. Oh, Talishar is already open. All right, hold up. There are people asking in the chat here. Wattzilla, thank you. You'll definitely look more into it. Just bought the whole brute package for KO, so looking for a bit more budget-friendly decks. Waiting to see if you like it before going to Husk. Absolutely. That's the whole point of kind of that progression tier list. The Demi surely is kind of the first big purchase you should be making, because that's Levi's identity at this point. More so than just, oh, cool, Husk block 6. That's dope. That is dope. It's also a lot easier to just kind of shrug it off and say, sometimes Heart and Crossstrap is better, which is possible. But there is no, like, budget option for the Demi. The Demi is singular in this game for what it can do. There's nothing quite like it. I guess you could argue Singularity for Teklo's like kind of, it's another Demi, sure, but it's not as good as Levi's. It's not start and play. Excited to play Levia Saturday. Try the Howl list and realize you're too addicted to Art of War slithering. If you think Shaden Death Hydra is the way, I'm in. Yeah, so, you know, that's the context of what we're going to try to do for this video. I think if you don't want to experiment and perhaps be wrong wildly for these games that do matter, the RTN season hella matters, then there's no reason to go all in on some of like the agility cost curves, like trying to metagame too hard with Triple Howl. Just play what is good. And hey, there are some high performers as far as Levia lists go from last season, namely the... Oh my god, cat, please get off of me. I'm wearing black and you are just covered in hair. Alright, 1 second. We're gonna have to lint roll. Oh my god. Anyone want to adopt a cat? I'm kind of getting sick of this. Oh, kind of getting sick of this. He's the one that sheds. My other cat is... yes, poofier, but she doesn't just explode when you touch her, which is what the orange cat does. Alright. Maine's gorgeous, but the social life is not it. The culture of the area is more than a little isolating. Incredible place to visit, especially if you like to eat fish. I do love seafood. I'm from Chile, and I have not found better seafood in the States. It's close. It's very different back in Louisiana, where I grew up mostly. That seafood is good, but it is, you know, it's going to be a lot more shellfish than fish. But Chile specifically had great fish and shellfish, to be fair. Machas, reneta, all of that. This weekend you're playing in an RTN, still haven't decided K or Levia. Missing Doomsday on Levia. Is it that good? I think Doomsday in a vacuum is still like one of the strongest things Levia can do. Is just, I mean, come on. Summoning a ally that deals 6, freaking nuts. 1 card 6. Your opponent, if they disrespect it, you get to just outvalue turn cycles like you wouldn't believe. Block 9, swing 6, 15 points on the board, and you just get to do that continuously. Not every list actually plays Doomsday that easily. There are like some aggro-oriented Levia lists that Doomsday is like probably not playable unless you draw it in the later third of your deck. And if it's only good at that time, then it's just a blue non-block most of the time. So not everyone runs it, but I would. The Levia list that I'm running play into Blood Debt. You know, I want the Demi to be good. I want Doomsday to be good. I want Shade and Death Hydra to be good. So yes, I would call it good. What matchups do you bring in the Gamblers for? Oh, are Gamblers actually in this? I guess I left them in the sideboard. You know, Gamblers are probably fine into Prism, right? Prism is going to drop ALS every once in a while, so I guess if you want to respect that, you can run the Gamblers there. There's probably some other matchups where rolling is better than the Apex value, but, you know, we'd have to play it to find out. I think Spoiled Skull Hooves with Apex is still just, like, probably what you need in the kind of, like, grind matchups. But there's a world where, you know, Pure Fatigue Bravo, right? Pure Fatigue Bravo, you probably want Scabskins Gamblers, just because they're not going to do anything other than swing hammer. So, it seems real. No space for Runner with Agility and Art of War. This is not an agility list, and I don't think Runner is good anyway in Levia. Honest opinion. Alright, let's play into one of our hard matchups right now. Okay, Azalea. Good luck, have fun. This is a matchup that is pretty tight for Levia. We actually don't run sinks anymore in what we changed from taking out the mech sideboard. The mech sideboard normally could also do stuff in this matchup, like instead of the Shadens, you could swap those out versus Azalea. You're never going to play it for the sinks instead. So we've done a little bit more aggressive sideboarding with the CNCs in that slot instead, but you know, we'll just run with it and see if we have to care about adding sinks back in. I don't hate Sink and Levia at all. You know, especially if a list isn't built to just actually sling 5-card hands back to back, which this one isn't. You know, we don't have the pulping. We actually cut a Tear Limb for Limb as well. So running sinks actually lets you play smaller hands, more mid-rangey, just get good value, use your arsenal for block value, and also declunk hands. It is a good card. It absolutely is a good card. But... okay. How big is this boy? Wow, not bad at all. So they're going to let us graveyard fill, and we actually keep a Blood Rush. So just going to double check. No shenanigans can go on at this point. Shouldn't be. So there we go. Block 8. Keep a Blood Rush. Sick. Wow. Okay, so we actually have the opportunity here if we draw... it's a lot of maybes. If we draw a blue, discard the Deadwood Rumbler, then we have a 3-card 18 going second that doesn't play into Blood Debt with new Arsenal. So of course we're going to go for that. Little haywire on the discard here. But I cannot complain with a start like this. Not at all. Not at all. And this actually works out, so we don't have to play it into Blood Debt yet. Because we drew up the hand this way, we're going to be off Arsenal if we try to go 3 wide no matter what. So we can actually just play the Deadwood Rumbler over the Hungering Slaughter Beast. And this will even let us banish their Boltyn shot, which isn't that impressive. You know, another arrow would have been nicer to hit. But in case of an early Codex, this does stump their targets. So I wonder if that's technically correct. If we're playing to the Demi-Hero, you know, banishing an Endless Maw and Dread Screamer is really high value. But because into Azalea, sometimes they can just take your entire hand away, I do want to just wait on Blood Debt for probably one more turn here. Since we don't have an arsenal, we might just draw into a really awkward hand. Yeah, that doesn't turn off Blood Debt anyway. I mean, this is exactly that. So just gonna make a Just going to make an 18 damage play, go in second, and move on. And that is good. You know, we're not going to complain. It is Great Bow, not Death Dealer. Yeah, so this matchup should be easier, I would think. The highs of a Death Dealer Tunic list are what Levia is more scared of than cheating Sandscour value. Because it's more about, in a singular turn, can the Azalea deck just mollywop you? And this is Seek and Destroy Lace. Okay, so I mean, it's not dominated. We don't really care about these hit effects because our turn is just going to be the swing big. We could go for the Apex Bonebreaker on swing, but we do have those two CNCs. So if we can line up Apex either for CNC specifically, when they have an arsenal, is one, or line up Apex just to block a hit effect would be the other option. So we'll just do this, throw a 2-card 8, and really stay ahead of the trades here. It's been good rates. How can you complain, right? How can you complain? You're thinking about sideboarding No Fear for this matchup, especially since you're running Diabolic Offering. Oh, okay, Jay, you and Mr. Campy are on the spice right now. I cannot get behind Diabolic, No Fear, Runner, all those pieces where it's like, man, think of the ceiling, right? But then think of them in like any other draw scenario. And that's where it falls apart for me. That's where it absolutely falls apart for me. Because I care deeply about trying to make sure Levia's awkward hands are still playable and not just like completely non-functional. And when you start to run cards like that, you have problems. You absolutely have problems. Because they just do one thing. Okay, so red in the ledger with the Lace with Blood Rot. It's a little unfortunate because if this wasn't red, we could easily take this damage. Who cares? And then most likely throw back a 3-card 12 with Tear Limb from Limb. We've got redundancy and discarding the Boneyard, so that would have been nice. I think we will have to pivot it a little bit. Just because the red would stop that. We could also give armor just to make a 3-card 12 play. But, you know, our hand scales pretty decently because we haven't played into Blood Debt yet. So we can legitimately just do this. The Apex is going to deny the Blood Rot hit, more so than the Red in the Ledger hit. So in theory, it's blocking for 4 points, because this would be 2. And then we just throw a 1-card 4 back. And once again, we just are not playing into Blood Debt. We're just going to go into the early game a little bit slower, because we need to answer some of Azalea's turns more so than answer our own Blood Debt, in theory. That's where the matchup can get tricky, is if you have to make plays based on your own Blood Debt and just can't respect the Azalea. Granted, we're kind of covered on both fronts because we have so much armor still. But this is the kind of turn where absolutely we're going to play into Blood Debt. There's no reason not to. We've got an amazing 2-card hand. We've got an amazing arsenal set up that guarantees we can turn off Blood Debt into the next turn as well. So this hand we can expect to, even if it's like a red in the ledger, just block down with 1 card, 2-card 9, Arsenal Dread. Pretty face up here. Pretty face up. Okay, so sure enough, this is just not a real on-hit effect at all. It's not threatening anything on the reload or the go again. So we're just going to make the value block here. Granted, this does put us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 misses in the graveyard. I'm really not going to worry about that at this point because keeping it in hand doesn't actually cost us like much points if we do miss on the graveyard because we just don't have Blood Debt yet. So, okay. Now we do hit 3 misses, so the next banish is going to feel a little bit worse just because we're down 3 misses and still up on the 5, or we're down 3 hits, up on the 5 misses, but nothing you can really do on that front. We'll just cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, sometimes I feel like these banishes... Oh, okay, good game. Sometimes I feel like those kind of banishes where you just hit 3 hits are the most stress-inducing parts of Levia, more so than even actually hitting the 3 whiffs. Because when you see that you just docked yourself so many hits in graveyard, you are just living on a razor's edge. Wow, we have pick of the litter when it comes to what matchups we want to play. So let's try this Kassai. Kassai is a value deck that I've really enjoyed playing the Howls into, but obviously this list is not running them, so we're going to have to give the Shade and Death Hydra game plan a go, which I do wholeheartedly believe in it, so let's just see what happens on that front. Oh, actually, one thing I didn't change is because we're not trying to fatigue out dash, the Mark of the Beast can go back in over the yellow hungering. Okay, we can fix that after this. I do prefer the Mark the Beast over hungering. Ooh, wow, that is a good turn 0 from our opponent. Good turn 0. So ideally, if we draw a resource card, our going second play can just be smash back into Swing Big Arsenal on this mob, which is totally fine. Oh, we got it. Okay, so in terms of numbers, they did have a better turn. We took damage that we'd have to give armor for otherwise, but you know, I'm not too concerned with the nourishing on turn 0, just because it's not really going to convert necessarily to that much damage out of the Kassai deck. A lot of Kassai's cards are like redundant. They do the same thing in terms of like Blade Runners, the Glint, the Quicksilver, like all those cards doing the same thing. I do find it's normally tough for Kassai to convert this kind of hand into a lot of damage, unless it's a lot of the 0 cost like pumps at the end of this. Or I guess to kick things off. So this turn might hurt a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're not threatening a gold because the graveyard isn't set up yet. And one of the cards they played was only a yellow, so lower rate. We have the agility and the might, so what we can fight for is keeping 1 extra card just for 3 damage. One thing that's awkward with agility, though, is you do have to make the call, is the 3 damage sunk into Claw better than just blocking 3 and getting graveyard out of it? Because that is the upside. Yes, it's 3 value no matter what, but you do get the graveyard. And right now, we actually, you know, don't have to worry too much about the graveyard, I don't think. We don't have a better arsenal either. So it would just be in terms of denying the copper is the other difference now in giving cards on the block. Which I do value denying the copper, honestly. Blood in Our Hands is a very good card, so we're going to give up the agility token usage here. That should be fine. Blade Flurry would be pretty devastating. That'd kind of be their best case card right now. And they don't have it. Okay, nice. So now this one comes in for 4. We will make the call, you know. We can either give armor block on this just to deny 3 copper. It is the Spoils trigger. It is the Owl and Skirmish trigger. Or give them 3 copper. If we give the Scowling Scabs, it also guarantees that that kind of block goes through because they wouldn't be able to react with this on Scowling. Feels a little premature to do that, but you really can't discount how good Blood in Our Hands is in just pulling Kassai above rate. Tough, tough. Tough. We know our turn is 10 points, which is already pretty good. If we block with the Scowling, we do risk missing on the Endless Maw, so that's something to consider. I think I'm going to eat this. 3 copper isn't like the scariest breakpoint yet. I think we'll worry more so about their next turn of copper generation. 3 is fine. Next time, maybe when they start to give us cards because of the damage trade, Scowling will put in a little bit more guaranteed work versus their copper turn. Could be it. You built a new deck? Yes. We're playing, if you go back and watch the intro of the video, we talked through, basically, like, if you want the most informed, like, I guess, the most thought out, the most tried and tested Levia deck, I don't think, or for RTN season, right? I don't think just YOLOing one of the new, like, agility type decks is actually the right move. The tried and tested Levia deck is very good. The Tear Limb from Limb core that I played at Worlds and the 20k, and that Pat also got top 8 width at the 10k. That list has an incredible win rate. That concept in practice matters more than I think the Talishar win rates of like all the other brews. So if you look at like tournament win rate, that deck is insane. Are you there? You know, I went like X2, X1 or X2 at Worlds and CC, I forget. I'm pretty sure I went X1. I could be misquoting that. But my draft was the problem at Worlds. I went goddamn 1-5 at draft. Just saying. My CC record was nuts. And then, of course, top 4 the 20k. Pat top 8'd the 10k with it. So you're looking at a CC deck that's like maybe X4 in total across some really, really big events. Okay, come on, opponent. I actually really wanted to play this game. Don't do this to me. Hello. All right, we'll give him 1 more minute before I claim victory here. Because I actually would be interested in just like looking at the deck composition as well, just to map out a little bit of what the next hands would be. But yeah, this is like an updated version of the Tear Limb from Limb deck. Basically trimming down on some of what I never really got to do after those big tournament runs because there just wasn't another event after that. But, you know, with a lot of gameplay, you know, on the table against some incredible players, Michael Hamilton, you know, Brody Spurlock, obviously, Majin Bey, like after playing so many big names with that deck, there were some parts of it that I really did want to go back and tinker with that weren't performing super well. So that's what we've tried to do now, as well as adding basically the options that are not that greedy when it comes to the heavy hitters cards. Like, you know, it's not greedy to add Apex Bonebreaker. That card is nuts. Is it greedy to run like 6 agility generators? Probably, because they block 2. So we're just going to claim victory here. Next hand was a Tear Limb from Limb hand. Oh! Okay, so actually this hand is nuts if we discard the Boneyard Marauder. If we discard the Boneyard Marauder, our turn would then just be Claw, Slithering, Arsenal, Swing Big. So we'd get our 3-card 18, get a really powerful Arsenal out of it. That's pretty hype. If we discarded the Deadwood Rumbler, then our turn, we could just pitch everything and still come in with the Boneyard Marauder, no Arsenal. That probably would have been fine. Oh, actually, no, that's not true, because it'd just be Claw. Okay, so it'd be 13 points, and then at that point, yeah, still Arsenal the Swing Big. So, you know, the ceiling of that next Blood Rush hand is quite good. Then we look at the next hand. The next hand, actually, you know, before Apex would be a Scabs hand. I absolutely would, with the Swing Big and Arsenal, try to go for a Scabs roll on the blue and Boneyard. After Apex, God, I don't know if I can get away with that. Then the next hand... Next hand's definitely a little awkward. You know, it is possible, once again, you could make this a Scabs hand. You go Dread Screamer, pitch blue, roll Scabs. If you hit, then you get an extra claw in. It's another 3-card 12. That's the kind of play you would make even without gamblers because you're leading with Dread Screamer. So that means you're insulated from, you know, rolling a 1 to really end your turn. So I think you'd probably play that hand this way. At this point, you've probably got Doomsday live. So this hand looks okay. It would just be Dread. If Doomsday isn't live, then it'd probably be Dread into Boneyard or Dread into Doomsday. I mean, the draw sequence looks like we'd play a pretty fair game here. The Art of Wars are like all the way at the end, which is interesting. But I like the look of that game. Okay, let's get a Boltyn game in there. Yes, I'm counting that as a win. Don't mind me. Okay, so into Boltyn. They actually have really strong armor, so the CNCs aren't necessarily the most useful, but if you can line them up on a Tunic 3 turn, you're likely to still get some mileage, so I think we'll just ship it. And this is Gallantry Gold Raiden, so less armor than I was expecting. Less armor than I was expecting. I'm not sure if this is a mistake or what. Normally the Gallantry is for the combo build. Oh! I will take this mulligan, thank you. Alright, the worst case scenario by blocking this way is they will Snapdragon Scalers and attack with something else, but they haven't charged. So that would be a pretty premature use, and I think I'm willing to take all that damage. If that's what they do. Okay, they don't, so they gave me full graveyard. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay, so our turn can just be Dread into Claw, 2-card 9, Arsenal Writhing. I'm pretty fine with that going second. I'm pretty fine with that going second. You know, one of the reasons to play into that kind of banish situation, none of these cards had Blood Debt, right? So we were able to full block, guaranteed have 6s in there with the Wrecker and Beast Within, and actually not even worry about Blood Debt yet. So that's a, I mean, this is the kind of thing where if your opponent attacks you on turn 0, you absolutely want to take advantage and make them feel the punish. Because if they don't do that, our going second is like swing Beast Within and actually not even get a good arsenal. Like none of these cards are that good in arsenal. It would have been the barraging basically, just because it's playable in any hand. So definitely increased the potency of our turn there. I appreciate that. Ooh, okay. Raiden for 0. I'm not going to get baited by that one. Alright, so now we have options on playing this hand. We can force the Art of War, banish the Writhing. That way the Graveling is playable, and probably just do a Graveling into Writhing with a reset arsenal. Sounds pretty good. We could also just kind of YOLO the Tear Limb from Limb. There's a chance that that doesn't work, though, if we discard the Graveling and then draw another red. So most likely what we can get value out of is by playing it this way. Okay, so not the strongest arsenal targets. In fact, there is even the choice now. Do I want to arsenal Smashback Alehorn at all? Or just play it out this hand? I actually think I do want to arsenal it because they're about to go into Tunic 3. I might have to block down a little bit more on the next hand than have guaranteed use of the agility. So this and arsenal is just never going to hurt how you play your hands, right? Just never going to hurt how you play your hands. We could also be a little greedy and try to get a Scabs hit in, just because the Scabs hit does fit our curve since we drew so many blues of Writhing with a Claw. I don't think I'm willing to do that into their Tunic 3 turn, though, just because if we do miss, then we haven't really punished a hand that they want to take damage on. Okay. Yep. I like this kind of draw now. You know, now we can pretty easily arsenal either the Swing Big or the CNC, knowing that in our next turn we will have agility and might. So our play of Endless Maw here with an attack in arsenal with an agility next turn becomes a lot stronger. Sure, okay, so their Tunic turn is Take Flight. I mean, it's good value. Ooh, it's actually a little better than that with Raiden. Okay, so, you know, this can pivot us. We don't actually need to play out the Smashback then. Denying the Lumina hits is going to eat their early soul and make them play a slower early game. So I'm actually fine with using armor to deny these hit effects and then still just come in with a 2-card 10 and then save the Smashback for a future turn. Our graveyard's looking fine. Remember, we have proactive graveyard fill in the Smashback anyway. Oh, I like it when you have control in a Levia game. You're making such informed plays. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so if we'd play the Smashback, our hand would look a little weird, right? Because we're probably wasting it anyway, so this is why saving these kinds of cards for opportune times rather than just like YOLO sending them makes more sense, right? Interestingly, though, if we did play it last turn, we could pivot entirely to just Boneyard Marauder into Doomsday. We'd have to block with Husk to get to 6 Blood Debt, but that would have been an interesting playline. Doomsday is really good into Boltyn. So if I let this hit, it just turns into 6 damage, basically. I don't think I really care. I'd rather just send the Blood Rush hand. It's a lot to just give Scabs and Scowling just to block an extra 3. There's a higher ceiling on those cards. Absolutely. So, it looks a little funny. You know, if I had a Convulsions in my hand or something, I think I absolutely pivot how I play that turn. But we're just going to let him have the damage. Alright. We have a very playable hand. Once again, though, I think I'm not going to play out the Smashback Alehorn because I want to make sure that I'm playing it with an arsenal. That way I have more information over even being able to use the agility. It's a really flexible card. Just getting parked there. It's also a little bit of cheekiness because our opponent could think, uh-oh, like they're graveyard starved on this next turn. But that's just not the case at all. So, okay, this is fantastic. Now we have the opportunity to play Smashback Alehorn with an arsenaled CNC. And funny enough, our opponent is letting us graveyard fill, which they absolutely don't need to be doing, but I will let it happen. Absolutely let it happen. We don't need that card. So now we're going to play the Smashback. We're going to come in with Endless Maw. Arsenal the CNC into an agility turn. So now we're probably going to check the boxes of being able to turn off Blood Debt off the back of this agility and do something beyond Claw. That's pretty exciting. Especially since the Might token as well makes the CNC look better. Oh yeah. Now we have another Smashback. We can kind of do the same thing again. This hit shouldn't do anything. They already have an arsenal. I'm willing to let this happen. Well, the other thing I can do with this hand instead to make it look a little cleaner is lead with the CNC, then Dread Screamer into Claw is kind of like the clean way of using these resources. The graveyard would be pretty light at that point, and I would have the Hungering Slaughterbeast in Arsenal, which is not the best on a light graveyard. So I think I actually do want to burn another Smashback for graveyard fill. Well, no, I guess it's all the same, isn't it? I'd be at 2 cards in graveyard at the end of the turn. No proactive way to fill it. Interesting. Okay, Tunic. Ooh, pretty good. Pretty good. Now Raiden comes in for 4. But this does mean they'll have an arsenal, so the CNC still is live. I don't think I super care then. So sending this first probably eats their warband and 2 cards. I guess I need to do it anyway for the graveyard. Okay. It seems crazy, but I'm actually kind of into the idea of, yeah, doing what I wasn't willing to do earlier. Just play the Smashback and then play off of Arsenal. Because we're actually getting to the point where if we can't turn off Blood Debt next turn, it's not that bad. We're likely going to flip anyway. So Smashback to just, like, even make our turn Claw flip, like, is pretty viable. Yeah, we're gonna go for that. Ooh, Agile Windup for the graveyard fill. That is exciting. And they're actually giving us graveyard fill anyway. Oh, that's even more exciting. Okay, so the turn can just be block here. With the agility, we can just go Claw Boneyard. I'm fine with that. Their attack doesn't mean anything, though, because I could easily just discard that regardless. Alright, no graveyard once again, but we have the flip turn basically available to us if we want it. Blocking with a card and the Scowling would do it. Blocking with 2 cards, blocking with a card plus Apex once again gets us on graveyard. Why'd you block with the Agile Windup instead of creating agility? Oh, that's a great point, Wadzilla. That's a great point. I was thinking about wasted agility because we had one anyway, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, just save it into next turn because it would carry for this turn. That's a great point. Great point. I already saw the agility on the field, but you're absolutely correct. It wouldn't. It would be the next turn that it applies. Well done. Well done. Well done. I could also just get ahead on Graveyard by quite a bit. Block with card, Apex, card, Scowling. Really not worry about it for a while. Yeah, agility would have been so much better on this turn though. So pretty big punt. Pretty big punt. We're gonna whack myself for that one. I'm doing this just for the graveyard fill, which I guess if I'm doing it just for graveyard fill, then I'd rather block with it on the second attack just in case there's like a Lumina still, because then I can go card plus Apex Scab Skins. Yep, okay, so there's Lumina. So we can go like this. That gives us Graveyard, Might Token. No agility is rough. If we had the agility, then I think we take the next hit and just go Claw Slithering Flip. Would be like pretty easy. Pretty easy. The other option here is just give the Husk anyway, because actually this one's buffed by the Courage, so the next one will only be base 4. So we could just block 5 on this, and then next attack, the Wrecker, plus these alone would do it. Or we just go for the flip turn anyway on the 6. I think if we save the Scowling Flesh Bag, we can likely still flip on the next turn. It's close, though. It's close. Alright, we're going to go for the flip. We're going to go for the flip. Let this happen. Block here. Just throw the Slithering for 7 into flip. We still have Husk and Scowling to protect their Tunic turn. And get the flip out of it. Yes. Ah, the clumping of Artivore Blood Rush. This is why we cut it from the last build. But I believe. Alright, so sure enough, we will get very good use out of the Carrion Husk here. Them charging Spirit means if that is Lumina, well, doesn't really help that we have Scowling to protect us still. If it is Beacon, though, then blocking with Scowling now makes sense. No matter what, they're going to give this go again to swing. The next attack will still be 5 because it's +1 on the Courage. So this protects us from Beacon. We chump the Husk on the Raiden because there's like nothing we can do otherwise, and then we just force this hand, which should be pretty good. It should be pretty good. Oh, it's 6. I didn't even do the math. It's the double V charge. Okay, so cool. We get full value out of Husk. All right. We have very good banishes with double Endless Maw and Dread Screamer. We have a Blood Rush in hand. What we really don't want to do is waste the Blood Rush. So if we draw resources here, then we're actually pretty clear to just, you know, with the Artivore, say +1 go again, and then play Blood Rush without having to banish, because we could run into that situation where we draw into non-attacks, but that would just mean we don't play the Blood Rush. We end up arsenaling it. So I think I'm fine to kind of just like YOLO the Artivore. And say +1 banish. And then YOLO the... well, that pitches the other one, and then if we have all 6s, we just play the Blood Rush. I wonder if that's more consistent of a play than just saying +1 Artivore. That's interesting. I'm gonna do the not Artivore play. We're gonna say buff and go again. and then just play this out. And then we did draw resources. Very nice. And then with this, we can play, instead of the second claw, we might as well play this guy at Arsenal. We said go again from the Art of War anyway. So we can come in with the... I guess we might as well do the Boneyard first, because there's a chance the Writhing just ends the game next. So we'll do Boneyard Marauder. It has go again from Art of War. Depending on how they block, the Writhing could just end the game. Because the Writhing would come in with +1 and then +2 from the Blood Rush. Yep, so the Writhing will win because it's coming in for 9. Alright, pretty good. Pretty good game, I think. Alright, that was pretty interesting. Absolute throw on the Agile Windup. I really appreciate chat pointing that stuff out, because this is the kind of thing I'm so locked into thinking about this deck like I was at the 20k. Yeah, like the little nuances of the agility could... I swear, I was looking at the agility on my screen already and thinking the Agile was doing nothing that turn cycle, no matter how I played it, because I already have the agility. But because they crack at start of turn, right, then clearly the Agile Windup on discard would have just made the next turn look so good. And even with the way we played it, the Agile Windup would have, I mean, it would have converted to 3 more damage out of that turn, because even though we didn't want to turn off Blood Debt on that flip turn, we had 2 floating, so it absolutely would have converted into a claw swing. Present 10 flip is just so much better than doing it another way. So I'm glad we still got there, because that was pretty stupid. That was pretty stupid. Hey, good learning experience. Good learning experience. Let's do a Victor game, because I do want to see if Hydra pulls its way. Oh, Dustfim, I know this person. Alright, we're going to take Spoiled Skull Hooves. We're going to take the Hydras back. You know, there actually have been games where Hooves has felt a little bad into Victor, just because they can start with so much damage. Yeah. On stream, yo. I definitely always like the Spoiled Skull. We're gonna try the Hooves, though. I do have pretty good results with either, I think. It's just we don't run red Gravelings in this list, which is something that the Hooves is just like, that's its ceiling for the most part. Okay, we can get Graveyard Fill out of the Slithering, go ahead, pitch in the Shaden so we know it's at the bottom of the deck, and Arsenal Writhing is not so bad. The one problem with doing that would be they can get some early clash value and go into their turn with Mights and Vigors. The gold wouldn't matter because they're drawing up anyway. I'm good to send it, I believe. More than anything, I want that Shaden at the bottom of the deck, so I think that's worth more than attacking. Got him! What do you mean don't attack Victor early? We're brute, baby. We're brute. We even win a lot of these because of Shaden. Okay, kind of an awkward Blood Debt hand to block with early. To block and then swing Endless Maw is definitely possible, but that's 3 Blood Debt. The problem is blocking with all these is just such a waste of good cards. Such a waste of good cards. What we could do a little preemptively, it does look dumb for sure, because there are crush effects to worry about, but preemptively blocking with this and even Apex would mean we're closer to filling the graveyard with equipment, which is actually pretty good. It is pretty good. The other option, I mean, we just block with Endless Maw and swing 3 back with Claw, is like pretty useless. Because Victor can't use most of their cards hand by hand, they actually do want to block with a card. Oh, 3 Blood Debt on the first Banish is just so much. So much. I don't worry about 2 floating in most scenarios with Victor. Sometimes they do run Pummel, but they also just don't have things they can pay the resources into. So more than anything, it just means they couldn't use their hand efficiently. And if they do pummel, then sure, we discard the Endless Maw and just swing the Mandible Claw. Alright. We're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for the early banish. I think patience works a lot better in this matchup, but, you know, we're limit testing. We're limit testing. They are on Miller's Grindstone, which is actually pretty beneficial. When they swing that, I generally just let it hit. Just like, sure, you absolutely can give me Graveyard. I don't mind at all. Ooh, okay, so we already blocked with a Dread Screamer. We're now looking at a situation where, realistically, we kind of just have to block with it again. This is where the Apex Bonebreaker block in the last turn would have looked a lot better, because in terms of getting ahead on Graveyard, we could have just done it this turn. Block again with the Swing Big Apex. That's Graveyard Fill, and we get to launch into Dread Screamer Graveling. Now we won't be able to do that. Now we won't. We're going to take a little bit of Blood Debt. Oh my god, I hate blocking with these two Dreads. It's just terrible. Yeah, I think if we're playing early into Blood Debt, it had to be the Apex block to make this kind of turn look better. Because once we find our power cards, we're going to be ahead on filling Graveyard, which we're just not at yet. We're just not out at that yet. The other option could just be hold the Dread Screamer. I mean, that is fine. That is fine as well. It's just Victor's such a value deck that sometimes he's just milking free cards out of nowhere. So to take 3 for no reason feels a little weird. I mean, I guess we're taking 3 for no reason anyway because we didn't play the Apex right. Oh well. Oh well. I'll accept my fate. What's up, chat? Valerio Guercio is in the chat. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing fantastic. I have a second Valentine's plan today. Yesterday was my Valentine's to Sandra, but she is taking me out tonight. So, yeah, having a great day. Alright, so here is some of our proactive Graveyard Fill we're looking for. Now we can get ahead on it in multiple ways. We can either do the Agile Windup thing, where we go Claw, Claw, Writhing Beastalk, Arsenal, Slithering, which looks pretty good for bringing in agility into next turn, or we could YOLO with the Tear Limb from Limb. I don't think we need to YOLO with the Tear Limb from Limb. Doesn't make much sense. We've got the cost curve staring us right in the face. Is this an Art of War list? Yeah, we are back to the 20k list in an effort to put out some content that legitimately, I think, is bound to give the most consistent results into RTN season. Playing around with, like, new heavy hitters types of lists is definitely fun, but I don't think it's better than just playing the good Levia builds right now. Which, that 20k list was... It was my baby. It did so well. That was kind of unfortunate. We lost a Clash. I guess it's not there yet. It's here. We lost the Clash and then also revealed the Wallop. So they got double Vigor out of that. Can our Agility, that we spent a whole card on, beat their double Vigor that they spent 1 card on? Ooh. Only time will tell. You got bopped by your list with Art of War last night? Hell yeah. Such a pain. So we like to hear. Alright, so we shipped a Shade and Death Hydra to the bottom of the deck on the first turn. Ooh, this is interesting. Doomsday would be live so early. Although, of course, we are faced with a Chokeslam here. Doomsday being live on this turn is pretty spicy. I mean, that's like as early as it could be live. Giving Husk on Chokeslam, you know, that does feel pretty good initially. You know, we probably get the play where we can play out. We can play the Doomsday will eat the agility token, and then we can continue with the turn Art of War for go again and go 3 wide, all on the Doomsday turn. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Carrion Husk is normally just a value block in this matchup anyway, so for it to actually eat a hit effect is decent as well. Alright, so is there any reason to do it? I mean, we could just do the Slithering first, that eats the agility, then do the Art of War Banish for go again. That way we hold info on the Doomsday is slightly better, right? This is all in the hopes we actually draw an attack plus resources. The problem with doing it this way is that if we don't draw an attack, then we can't just like, you know, Blasmo wouldn't have go again. The agility works differently than just saying like go again with Art of War, so we do need to get a little lucky on the Spanish because we played it greedy. We know we're drawing a Beast Within. That's playable, but it's not great. I guess the other option would just be we play out the Doomsday Banish Shaden. Arsenal, the Art of War. Ooh, I actually... Oh, I do wish I just played the Doomsday first, but knowing that they already have a 2-card hand, it's unlikely that they can kill the Doomsday already, because they showed us 2 cards. So this has to be like a CNC, one of the red attacks, an E-Strike. I guess that is pretty likely, to be fair. They're on Tunic turn, so they do want to keep that kind of hand. Since we know the top of the deck is Beast Within, if we go for the Art of War play, go again, the Beast Within is either a resource card or it's our attack. And if it's our attack, then we need to draw at least a yellow next to it. Yellow or blue. I don't like the odds. I think we should not have done it this way. It should have been Blasmo first. Just because of the way agility works. But Arsenal Art of War should be pretty strong regardless out of this turn cycle. Any red attack next to it is playable. Yeah, any red attack is playable, but that's... I mean, the deck isn't only reds, you know? There's a lot of draws that just wouldn't work in that sense. In that draw. We'll see what it is anyway, but... Oh, actually, no. No. Because a blue or a yellow always pays for the Beast Within. So the red attack, there actually is almost nothing that is a brick draw. Because even like a power card, like a Blood Rush or Art of War, does pay for the Beast Within, because we had one floating. So, yeah, I'd be giving up the Art of War now for a 3-wide turn. But I think it actually was pretty guaranteed that you get a play there. The only... Yeah, even the highest cost attack, Endless Maw, because the Beast Within's there and we'd have one floating, is playable. Yeah, so actually, it is always playable. It is always playable that way. Interesting. Is that still better now than giving up Art of War? Close. I guess we'll see what the next stand is in general. But yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of redundancy actually with that on top. It's not a problem to see the Beast Within that way. It actually answers a lot of questions. Oh well. I'll mark this as a I didn't think it through all the way line. I think there's pros to both. But that's one of the situations where you can use Clash to inform the play, which I didn't fully think through. Rip. Okay, yep. So sure enough, that is just the Beast Within hand. Or the Beast Within would be the attack, because there we draw resources right next to it. Alright, is this at me or at Blasmo? That's at Blasmo. I don't mind at all. We ate a Spinal Crush and a Tunic just to kill Blasmo, and we've kind of equalized the game with Artivore and Arsenal. I would call that a pretty decent win. I mean, this hand doesn't look like the spiciest Art of War play, but it will turn the hand live. It will turn the hand live. In case they're in a block cycle, the barraging in hand is pretty cool. See, this is where I actually would have liked Scabs over Hooves, because going for the Boneyard into Scabs hit, getting that Writhing in Arsenal would be pretty good. Barraging Tear, it's got its downsides in this situation though. If I Barraging and then Tear, and discard the Boneyard, draw into another red, it's unplayable. There's just nothing you can do. That is just unplayable. The other option is to go ahead and play Spoiled Skull to make the Tear live. I'd prefer that if we're doing a Tear Limb from Limb play this hand. I'd rather that. Spoiled Skull, and that way you get to pitch the barraging. We could name Dread Screamer. We could name like Dread, Swing Big, Endless. Actually, that's not probably right. We'd have to look at what the resources would be in theory. Yeah, I guess if it's only... We already said go again on the Art of War, so we want Slithering, Endless, Swing Big as the named 3. That's actually quite a ceiling, because if we hit the Swing Big... Okay, I'm in. I'm into this. We're going to Spoiled Skull. There's no world where we can actually pay for the Shaden, so we're not going to do that. We can pick those 3. We got the Swing Big. Okay. Okay. Pretty good. I'll take this. It also has go again, so we'll just throw the Boneyard right after it. Seemed like a good play. We have also not played any Blood Rushes yet, so you gotta note that kind of thing. We are getting ahead of the victor here, and we have not played a single Blood Rush. So we do need to keep that in mind. We are, massively winning this turn cycle. We don't want to close the chain because we want more opportunities to hit the misses there. Which we did hit one of the misses, which is nice. There's only 2 now. Alright, we've pulled ahead of the victor. We have pulled ahead of the victor. And there we go with the Blood Rush play. We get Claw into Boneyard. Seems legit. What's up, Devin? I am having a very good day. Alright, this is actually going to scare them potentially as well if we lead with the Boneyard now. Because we could have a 1 cost. So, maybe it changes something. We know it's just a Claw, but that's fine. Oh, why couldn't it be a Graveling? Alright, so actually, you see how we were probably playing Apex wrong this matchup? Because we're on the forefront now, to where Victor's probably blocking for the majority of the rest of the game. And so we're missing our Apex value. Right? Like, this card is just going to do nothing now. Unless we, like, give them room, which is obviously not the plan. We don't want to give them room. I don't mind arsenaling the Convulsions. It's kind of weird, though. We can either play the 4-card hand to just Convulsions into Hungering. It eats the graveyard quite a bit. Or we can just go, like, barraging into Hungering. That guarantees that we're bringing away to turn off Blood Debt into our next hand. Convulsions is good as we approach our pitch stack for the Shade and Death Hydra. So if we just don't have to play out the Convulsions, then it's just like such a guarantee as we approach the Shade in hand, which we pitched on turn 1. So we're going to see the Shade in hand on like turn 14 at this point. Well, it'll be earlier than that because we'll have drawn more by the time we see the other Art of Wars and Blood Rushes. So yeah, I think I'm okay with this. It is a little greedy to play out the barraging. So maybe I don't do that. They're going to block 2 cards anyway. So let's just do this instead. It'd be 3 misses to put the barraging there, so let's not throw the game. Let's not throw the game. This also gives them room to attack into us. And we can use the Apex, in theory. Option being we can block with Beast Within and Apex and then just play the Boneyard turn, hold the Blood Rush. Kind of weird. If we drew into a blue and one of the 1 costs, then we could just cycle out the Convulsions, Arsenal the Blood Rush, which would feel pretty good. This turn could also be Hooves instead. Beast Within, block there, just pitch the Blood Rush for these 2. We could also just launch the Blood Rush. I think launching the Blood Rush is probably fine. I'm okay just sending the Blood Rush on this hand. And we know we're drawing a blue now. That's pretty hype. This showed us a Miller's Grindstone reveal of a blue Deadwood. We like that. Oh, he broke the Arm Aegis to still lose the Clash. Okay. So now we also know they drew a Pummel in this hand. So this bodes well for our aggression. Wait, hold up a second. Do we want a Convulsions first? Convulsions eats 2 resources there, so then we only have... Ooh, unfortunately... No, we can pay for everything, right? This is going to eat 2 resources. Oh, no, because then it's just 2/2. So if we want to turn off Blood Debt, we do need to play out the Convulsions. It does mean we miss a Claw, but it's like true damage, in theory. Yep, I mean, it's the only thing to do. If we want to milk more damage out of the turn cycle, we could also just Hooves, and that way the turn is Slithering Graveling, but because we're giving him lower options on the Dominate, I don't think that really does what we want. Why not block and get the Beast Within trigger? There's still a lot of power cards that we could mill there. We can just play the Blood Rush, right? Like, blocking and pitching a red to start doesn't answer many questions for us. Now both of these, like, you know, it's the same damage. They both eat the Quicken. I guess in theory, in deck, I'd rather the Slithering because it's always playable even after running out of banish effects. Whereas pitching in the Graveling, it's more conditional. Alright, we've got Dread into Graveling here. We can get some Apex value, finally. We cannot miss in the graveyard as well, which all feels pretty good. Actually, hold up. We know that they have the Pummel in hand, so this block is premature. We know they have the Pummel. They revealed it off the Miller's Grindstone, so they're obviously going to play it. However, we did show that we have a Beast Within, so that was kind of too quick on the block. We have to think back on last turn what information we gained. It should be pretty free to just go ahead and block with Hooves for the value. There's no guarantee they attack us on the next turn cycle, because we are going to demand their full hand in blocks, basically. So we're going to get this value. Yep. Ooh, our turn got better. Alright, so now we do want to play out the Red Dread and the yellow Graveling, because there is a world where if we play the blue Graveling, or the blue Dread rather, it hits 6s, and then it itself is in graveyard next to the other 2 misses. So I'd rather delay that possibility. We can just do this. Okay, nice, nice. Into Graveling. Dread in Arsenal is effectively the... It's not like the same as Convulsions. Oh, look at these reveals. Disgusting. Blue Dread in Arsenal isn't like the same as Convulsions next to Hydro, but it's pretty close in terms of just like this turn is nuts late game. 5-card play of 4 into 13. It's pretty nuts. Alright, so now we know we're protecting another Go Again hand. Pretty gross. We're gonna heave Pulverize. Interesting. So I think we just win then, because we should be able to go dominate Endless Maw, and we should win. Not going to think too hard about this one. They do run Staunches, so maybe it isn't a win. But if it's a win, that's just kind of cute, so I'll just let it happen, since we know that this isn't a D-React, right? It's face up. Okay, GG's. Good game. Alright, alright. Pretty good game, pretty good game. So we had the Shade and Death Hydra coming up next to a whole bunch of blues that we pitched early game, right? This was our next pitch. This was turn 0, and then this was blue, 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 blue. So we had the... I kind of forgot that Convulsions is there, but as you get closer to drawing that hand, if you just don't see Convulsions anywhere else, you can assume it's still in the deck, right? I kind of forgot the Convulsions was legitimately there, but we did have the Shade and Death Hydra stack set up to either basically play Art of War into the Shade and Death Hydra draw, which is really good because you just get to go 16, right? You just go Shade and Death Hydra Claw for 16. It's pretty nuts late game. Or we did have the Convulsions basically set up, where once we draw the Shaden, it's safe to arsenal it, and then we draw this hand of 4 blues and just go Convulsions, Shaden. We still had a Blood Rush as well. There was just so much left in the deck. Like, how do you beat this deck? Look at how much power is there. Look at this. We have another Blood Rush hand. We have the Art of Wars. We have the Convulsions, Shaden. We've got another Tear Limb from Limb. We've got an Endless Maw. How'd the Endless Maw get there? When did I pitch that? Oh, I think I pitched that for the Boneyard on a turn, I'm pretty sure. When it was the Tear Limb from Limb Spoiled Skull turn. So yeah, it's just like, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. And then of course we have Reckless Lock as well, if we need to pivot the game, flip into Redeemed, and then just kind of like sit there and mill them out because we forced them to 2. And then they can't attack us for the rest of the game. So a lot of ways to win still. A lot of ways to win. Alright, this deck's looking pretty clean. It's looking pretty clean. Ah, the Bravo matchup. I love this matchup. We do want to take Scowling. The armor count specifically is pretty important, but you can get away with Hooves as well. Because to block Crippling once, it's Carrion Husk plus card. To block it again is Scowling Apex, Hooves plus card. We do want the Shadens over the CNCs. Let's go. Poor opponent did not win many clashes. That's true. At the same time, if they win clashes, they get an extra card to realistically block with in that scenario, because we're so ahead on life. You figure the card they're drawing is about 3 points. If they win like 3 of those clashes, generate a gold on like 3 of those clashes, which is already saying a lot for a Victor deck into Levia, because they shouldn't you shouldn't assume you win every clash into Levia. Like, I've got 7s, I've got 13s with Shaden. But let's even pretend that they did win 3 clashes and get gold off of 3 of those. They, convert those 3 cards into then either 9 points of value, which I don't think really does anything for them. The game is very much over in terms of like damage left in deck. We're not on the dregs of the deck, you know? Or they convert that into effectively like 9 more damage dealt to us, and we still had 3 block left with Apex, which blocking with it then is also 2 more damage, and 11 life. So I don't think the Clash is like really does much there, not gonna lie. Alright, there's a world where we actually just have to say full blocks in the next hand or something, so Reckless in hand is fine. Oh wait, it's the Rampart build. Okay, sick. Sick. We do wish we had Spoiled Skull for this. We do wish we had Spoiled Skull. but this is hopefully going to be a good showing for the deck. Sure. Let's send this Blood Rush. 50-50 on that. We love it. We got a 3-card 18 Arsenal Dread with 1 Blood Debt in the yard so far. We are going to have to be pretty careful with getting greedy on graveyard management because the Bravo deck doesn't really attack you. It is trying to strictly defend. So we want to be very careful on getting greedy on graveyard until after we've seen a lot of proactive fill from Artivores, Blood Rushes, and Tear Limbs. What did we pitch on turn 0? The Doomsday. So no reason to put the Reckless next to that. Okay, actually, there is a world where we get a 4-wide Blood Rush off already. I mean, with only 2 cards in the graveyard, it is kind of a forced play, but if we discard the Writhing and then draw the right resources, we can go Claw, Claw, Dread, Graveling, which is quite the ceiling, quite the ceiling. I mean, the only other thing to do would be like play the Barraging and then Writhing save the Blood Rush, but that doesn't really do anything for our graveyard. The Blood Rush is best for our graveyard here. Okay, step 1. Now we just need to draw resources. This, in a way, is resources, because we can Artivore, say, +1. Just dig for resources. We can otherwise just throw the hand as is, because it does go Claw, Claw, Hungering Slaughterbeast for 19. Our hand does do that. If we think about the matchup, though, and in terms of what we need to do to win, we do want to just go over block. And if we say Artivore +1 and banish, then we need to draw 2 blues to go Claw, Claw, Dread, Graveling. It's possible. But if we don't draw the 2 blues, are we going to miss the fact that we basically wasted an Artivore? I think we're going to miss that we wasted an Artivore, so let's just do it this way. We're not through enough of the deck yet to have any idea what an Artivore would draw here. It'd be a complete guessing game. And saving an Artivore in deck while still throwing 19 damage is totally fine. One of the things you want to look for with an Artivore in your pitch stack is either play it next to Shaden or play it on a 3-wide turn. Because if all you do with it is like throw 12 in this kind of matchup, that is nowhere near good enough. So what we've got it next to in the pitch stack right now is actually pretty strong because the Doomsday is in there. We now have a Barraging as well and a Graveling, so hopefully it can unlock a pretty good play already without too much effort. So we're going to put this at the top. Now we draw a Tear Limb from Limb. I would love to have played the Tear Limb from Limb here, but it's not really possible. So what we're going to do is, it looks a little bit weird, but I do want to potentially block with Apex pretty immediately the next time, just for Graveyard Fill, because we're going to play pretty lean on Graveyard Fill. It is what it is in this matchup. So we're going to block with it. We don't really expect many attacks ever, other than the Titan's Fist anyway. This turn then just becomes Dread into Slithering, 13 points, Arsenal Endless. It's pretty good. This is something to note though, we've now pitched away an Artivore and a Tear Limb from Limb in terms of proactive Graveyard Fill first cycle. That is pretty scary. We do have a lot of new additions in terms of Graveyard Fill from heavy hitters. The Agile Windups and the Smashbacks will fill that role. So I think it's going to be, you know, being very careful about what to block with in terms of equipment to make sure that we're managing proactivity whenever he does attack us. There we go, smashback. This is fantastic. This is what we're talking about. Yeah, pitch crippling, but at that point in the game, they're never going to be able to keep a hand. I don't really mind. This is pretty fantastic as well. The smashback Alehorn with a Graveling and Arsenal means it's very much live. Very much live. There we go. All right, we can actually use the entire hand. Beast Within into Dread into Graveling is the kind of turn we're looking for because it lets us go 3 wide, in theory over blocks. I think I'm also going to go ahead block with Hooves at this point, just for once again the opportunity to graveyard fill with it. There's actually a world where I want to block with Scowling Fleshbag actually, for the graveyard fill now, because otherwise, you know, I am ending the turn with 2 cards in graveyard and nothing in Arsenal to really make sure that I'll have a play. So if I block with Scowling now, this means I'm going into my next turn with 3 cards in graveyard. So I'm going to block like this. Because if there's ever a point where this Bravo deck actually takes the damage to throw a crippling, I mean, we've got Husks sitting there. So we know their one was pitched away. They're not ever going to play that one by the time we get to that point in the deck, because we should be pretty aggressive with what we're putting out here. So here we go. This is going to be 7 into 6 into 6, leaving 3 cards in graveyard. Okay. Should Bravo even be attacking at all? Not really. They should be basic. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you take advantage of into people who don't play into Levia that much. They will swing at you. But if your game plan is legitimately to just, like, try to let Fatigue win, right? Like, just this, like, I'm not attacking you, you just can eat Blood Debt and lose type of situation, then, yeah, you just should not attack. You absolutely should not. But if they think at any point their game plan does have to be attack me to win, then they've got to be attacking at some point. So the Bravo does need to kind of just decide that. All right, this turn, I don't mind discarding Agile Windup, and then just going Deadwood Rumbler. Seems okay. 50-50 on discarding a 6. I think we're basically hoping to discard a 6 off the top and then keep the Slithering Shadowpeed in Arsenal. The other option is just eat 7 Blood Debt, because who cares? To be able to go Claw into Slithering. That is a full 12 presented, bringing in Agility into next turn. We really don't care about taking 7 Blood Debt. It guarantees that, you know, we've presented a full hand's worth of damage. We have not taxed the graveyard, and we're only taking 7 life to do it, which is pretty manageable. The play we don't ever want to make is Convulsions right here. Well, actually, that's not true. The Agile Windup would put us at 3 again, where we can go... Sorry, thinking. We could go Convulsions into Slithering, discard Agile Windup, and still be at 3 for next turn with the Agility. But the play to really just keep us ahead on Graveyard and probably not worry about it at any more point in the game is just go Claw Slithering. So I think we're going to take that line, just because we did pitch an Art of War and a Tear Limb from Limb. And in terms of first cycle graveyard fill, those are now in second cycle. So we are missing a few ways now to turn off Blood Debt, or not to turn off Blood Debt, but to, you know, basically spend 2 cards for spend 1 card for 2 cards in graveyard. The Bravo also at this point has blocked with a crippling, pitched 1 away. If they take this turn to actually throw the crippling, they're still going to eat damage because we are throwing 12, and we have Husk as well, so... This likely means the Bravo just doesn't present anything on the back, and maybe a Titan's Fist. Yep, just a Titan's Fist. I mean, it could be a CNC, I guess, but who cares? Alright, nice. We have a pretty clean curve for agility. We can go Claw, Dread into Hungering. That is possible. We could also just go Claw, Dread into Claw, Arsenal, Hungering. That doesn't tax 6 cards from the graveyard, so actually I prefer that. I'm pretty sure, pretty instantly. With Hungering and Arsenal, it's one of the weaker cards, so it probably means we need to look for Hooves on the next turn to keep up on the damage race. We could also just go for Tear Limb, but Tear Limb, in this kind of position, I don't super love. I'd rather have a guaranteed attack in Arsenal that we kind of plan around throwing. It's a little bit of a waste of agility as well. Waste of an agility as well. The other option is we just give up on the agility this turn, say, you know what, it wasn't good enough. Play Smashback into Hungering, Arsenal, Dread. Nah. The Bravo's off Tunic, so I do want to just keep attacking for 12, basically every turn I can. Because there are some clunky scenarios in them taking damage with, like, Oasis. Bravo's Arsenal's been pretty comfortably parked there for several turns now, hasn't it? I don't remember when they put the Arsenal down, but once again, like, we are insulated from them sending 1 big attack. So, even if it is the crippling that they're waiting on, we don't care. We give 1 card in Husk. And we can track exactly where the other 2 cripplings are. One is here, and the other is in basically, like, hand 16 maybe, which at that point in the game, there's no way they should be able to tank the turn of damage to actually play it. Good, we like this. They're eating chipping, like, they're chipping points here and there. Right, that's 2 damage dealt on a 3-card 12. We like that, because in theory, that should be a clean block. Alright, they cycle out the Arsenal now. Okay, not bad. So, once again, we know where one of the Art of Wars is, and we are getting pretty close to the end of the deck. So, knowing that we pitched an Art of War, the other 2 are probably pretty close, so the Swing Big and Arsenal is one of the best things we can do with Art of War. Because when you actually convert Art of War to 2 action points, you want it to be more than 12, so you're actually landing damage. So, this is a pretty clean just block with Titan's Fist, or block the Titan's Fist into Hungering Graveling off Hooves. It keeps up the 3-card 12. We get Swing Big and Arsenal for the Art of War draws that are upcoming. I think this looks pretty good. The other option is we just block with the Graveling, throw a 2-card 6, because they are on Tunic now, so 3-card 12 probably is never awkward for them. There is a higher ceiling on Hooves next to Blood Rushes. Yeah, you know what? We don't need to be greedy on the Hooves. Let's just take the Graveyard Fill. We don't need to use these cards. We'll throw a 2-card 6. Once again, you know, if we get punished, quote-unquote, for a low damage turn, we still have Husk. What's up, Crayon Drav? How's it going? Dude, we're loving life. Yesterday was a fantastic Valentine's night. I made beef Wellington and some steamed corn on the side for Sandra after her long day at work. And then she is taking me out tonight. So. We don't really care about this card in Arsenal. If it is Tunic Pummel, then, you know, what's the point of even blocking? If it is Tunic Pummel, then our turn pretty cleanly can just be okay, discard the Wrecker Op, play out the Hungering Slaughter Beast, arsenal the Blood Rush is pretty okay. I don't want to give Carrion Husk right into a pummel play. We'd rather keep that for the crippling. Sure, I'm fine with this. Okay, at this point, without pummel, we can try to use our 4 cards. It's a little greedy. Pitching Blood Rush, discarding Hungering would mean we are just up to the draw for a chance to turn off Blood Debt, which is very much like where we don't want to be. We could also lead with Art of War, banish Hungering, and that play probably turns into attack plus claw, arsenal the Blood Rush Bellow, which is not the ceiling of what we want Art of War to do, but it's still pretty passable, I think. Oh, the opponent undid their last action. That's fine. Oh, okay. I don't see any difference. I think I'm fine burning the Art of War here. Interesting. Do I want to burn a second Art of War, though? Not really. This doesn't look pretty at all. It's just Dread into pitch the Art of War for Mandible. It's 7, Arsenal Blood Rush. Sketchy. If we do dig on the Art of War, it would just be +1 at that point. So many wasted resources, though, if we do not draw into the attack. At this point, I mean, there's a lot of attacks still left in the deck. You know, we're not done with first cycle yet, so we're pretty clearly looking at, like, a missing Endless Maw. Endless Maw would be pretty incredible. Nope, Kuri, get off. Get off. Get off, get. We're looking at another Writhing and Hungering that are still in there as well. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. We're gonna go buff, draw. Blood Debt's already off. There we go. What did I say? We are gonna miss the go again on the claw. I guess unless we want to pitch the hooves into it. Or not the hooves, the Blood Rush into it. Oh, really did wish, obviously, that was drawn before a second Art of War and a Dread there. That's okay. We've now... Oh. I won. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is a very hard matchup for the Bravo to do anything into, but I don't think they should concede there. Good game. I don't think they should concede there. There's more game to play. I don't think they win the game, but there is more game to play, for sure. We actually, funny enough, naturally in first cycle have Convulsions Hydra. If we Arsenal Convulsions, which at that point in the game, right, this is the next 4-card hand we draw. I don't think we can ever do that because this is an Arsenal, so we'd use this as pitch and then have a very good Blood Rush turn, actually. That would be an incredible Blood Rush turn. This is an Arsenal, we draw this 4, we go pitch Convulsions. Ideal discard at that point is the Wrecker Romp. We keep both of these, and then we can crack hooves for claw, swing, big Writhing. That's pretty, that's game ending right there. So we have the ceiling of just ending the game on the next hand, which is pretty cool. That is very good, wow. And then we had, this is basically where pitch started, was the Doomsday. So we had Doomsday probably as like a solo play, or perhaps hooves is when we would crack it on Doomsday, just to make sure we're presenting 12 with that sticking around, because we did pitch the first Art of War, the hand after Doomsday. So yeah, I think it actually gets pretty sketchy like here. We do have a slew of blues that just do nothing. So not the cleanest pitch stack, but I don't think we really get there, to be fair. I'm pretty sure the game ends like right here, probably. But there was a very clunky amount of blues back to back here. All right. I mean, pretty convincing for the deck, though. I think there's some interesting choices made there. You know, taking Blood Debt just to preserve Graveyard State and not, you know, fearing what the next couple turns look like. Looking for KO, another Victor, looking for Victor. We can play one more, and then I'm going to have to go for dinner tonight. Oh, oops, not private. Visibility, public. Deck link. Also, if anyone does want to play the deck, that's the... Oh, okay, good. I do want to play this matchup again. This is good. This is good. The other Kassai we played against conceded, but I want to play a full game versus Kassai. Let's see it. Just joined, saw the life totals and the times to Artivore. Must have missed a good one. I mean, those Artivores basically just dug for better cards, which is definitely one of the upsides of Artivore. Chaining them to find good plays, especially when you're at that point in the deck and can make less guesswork around like what's actually left. I mean, we looked and we had at least 5 good reds that are likely to draw out of first cycle there. 1 Hungering, 1 Writhing, 2 Endless Maw, and I think a Boneyard were the last ones. So yeah. Burning it there, I think before that looks pretty greedy. But since we can tell... Ooh. Do we YOLO? We don't YOLO. We don't YOLO. Surely don't YOLO. But we will roll Scabs. There's like no reason not to. Do we just lose into Kano? No, not at all. Into Kano, this deck is... I've been testing pretty well into Kano with a different version of this that's not even running Pulpings, but Pulping should help it quite a bit. You've got Spell Void 4 with Cloak, Grasp, Hooves, AB1 as well, and then triple Pulping. So the Kano matchup's like pretty real right now. You actually get to play the game instead of just concede. What you do need to be careful of, though, is the Kano is probably going to try to fish for your AB4. First Scabs roll. First Scabs roll in 6 games, by the way. Okay, we did miss. That's fine. First Scabs roll, though. Look at that. In 6 games. What is your target for Cloak and Grasp? Basically, they're lethal Wildfire. Because they can try to bait out Wildfire, or they can try to bait out your Spell Void when you're not presenting lethal. You know, you might just be presenting 6 damage, like whatever, right? And they try to bait your Spell Void and throw a Wildfire at you. What you should probably do in that scenario is don't use both. Perhaps just use one piece, right? You're probably pretty clear to use one piece. And then, when they try once again, when you are presenting lethal, use the other piece. And hopefully that's enough to have gotten you there. But if they try to bait out your Spell Void 4 on a Wildfire, that is just a Wildfire, no other combo behind it, just because they kind of like drew up that way, then you are actually still at risk of losing that game. Because if you're not presenting lethal on that attack, then all they did was just eat your protection. And then the next turn where you are presenting lethal, they'll go for it again, and you have no protection. So our turn here basically is a pretty forced Endless Maw turn. Kind of rough. The Agile Windup's blocking for like 1.5. But you know what? It's fine. It is the play we're gonna make this turn. So 2-card 9 on the return. If you haven't played into a lot of Kano, Cody, you do need reps. That matchup is not something you can blindly walk into at all. Matchup is scary. But you absolutely have play. Like real play. Not even like a, I hope the Kano just doesn't have it. You actually can answer their game plan pretty well. No reason to give them a gold. This is like too free for them, isn't it? I mean, our turn is Tear Limb from Limb, which is pretty funny. The gold in this matchup, it can do a lot of... It's not so much the raise an army, but it's more so their ability to just like draw and then get free sword swings that can kind of save their hand. So, yeah, I mean, it can't be any other attack. I guess it could be a Blade Flurry. Like, sure, if you're going to use a Blade Flurry just for this, go for it. But I'll block 2 just to deny gold. Especially since it means we don't have to worry about gold for a while still. Since their graveyard's pretty light. Oh wow, okay. We really got it. So this is pretty nice because we get to just throw the Deadwood, which means we have a better chance of having a good arsenal with all the blue draw. Oh yeah, actually the gold prevents cash in. I didn't even think of that. Okay, blue dread, I will also take that. So because we have already banished to the Beast Within, right now we actually want to target the Kassai. If we hit this Blade Flurry, it's going to slow them down in theory in terms of being able to pay for Kassai. So if we wanted to do this completely correctly, we should have broken the chain. Although I don't think they blocked with... they didn't... Oh, they did block with the yellow. They blocked with cash-in. You actually want to banish their yellows because they run less of those in general. So, slight misplay. Slight misplay. We should have closed the chain. I'll accept that. Alright, the way this hand wants to play is basically just... I mean, we can force it, I guess. Like, force dig for resources. It's not super clean, though, because if we Art of War banish here, then even drawing a... You know, it'd have to be like a blue-red draw just to go Endless Maw Claw, which is a 4-card 12, which isn't great. So if we just block with these instead, it's a 2-card 6. Pretty weak as well, to be fair. Let's just get more answers out of the turn. Okay, Blade Runner. What's up? Yeah, this is the last game. Really? Ooh, nice. Can you bring him to stream?
No, like, I don't know what it is.
Can you open it? Oh, Sandra got me Legos or something. Okay, you know, just because it's a pretty clean block here and other things don't really look like a very impressive rate, I think I will just take the 2-card 6. It's pretty weak. Like, not gonna lie, this is... It's not looking super strong. It's just if we block any other way, then, you know, we're blocking for 2 on a card. If you block double attack on a Centauri, then at least you're getting, like, half point back on block. Kinda rough. This is where the Art of War forces some hands.
This is not a set, but it feels like Lego.
Really? Can you open it? Here, we've got something interesting in the mail today. Let me see. Oh wait, no, hun, this is cat litter. It's not Legos. What on earth? That's lame as hell. Yo, what the... That is... Hun, here, take this. She goes, I think it's Lego bricks. No, it's cat litter. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for that. Is blocking with both reds and arsenaling the Art of War no good? No, to throw a 2-card 4? Hell no. I wouldn't take that in a million years. Okay, this is now with Copper Generation on the line. Copper Generation on the line. Blood in Her Hands is a lot scarier than pretty much any other singular card in this matchup. Giving them free copper sucks. So we do want to block one of these sabers somewhere. Somewhere. So if we block with one of the yellows, the turn just becomes 3-card 9. Once again, not great. Not great, but we do hopefully have that option pretty face up in just blocking Beast Within Apex, and then the turn is at least a 3-card 10. This random arsenal off the Deadwood is still fine. We just need to find it next to a 1-cost, which we just haven't seen in 2 hands yet, so... This is still weak to a Blade Flurry, but they did play one earlier, so let's just pretend they don't have it. Oh, they do have it. Okay. Now we might have to pivot the whole hand. We don't want 2 hits. 2 hits of copper is just way too damn good. Oh, it's just so sad, because it would mean giving up Flesh Bag. Oh, 2 Blade Flurries. So early, whereas we have not seen our best card. Man, Scowling can normally get so much more work done versus Kassai than just giving it this way. I don't love it. I don't love it. I would not use Husk in this scenario, though. Pretty much never. Husk is going to block either something that's truly worth 6, or it's going to block hit effect like of a gold or something as well on a Pump Centauri, or it's going to stop Nourishing Emptiness as well. You know, we're gonna try playing it this way, which I don't really enjoy, but I don't hate a 2-card 7. Oh my god! Iron Song as well. They just had all the answers. Alright, alright. The 4 copper has been achieved. Well done, Kassai. Well done, Kassai. They had 2 reactions for the turn that they drew Spoils of War. I mean, that's just draw sequence. It's just pretty good stuff. And now we draw Blood Rush clumped like this. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Sometimes draw sequence is just not your friend. Alright, and actually if we'd close the chain and banish their 6, then it didn't actually stop this gold trigger, so even though the Deadwood was technically wrong, it's not actually going to affect how the game plays here. Nope. Changing their mind. Precision Press. Aha, adding Piercing to the list. Okay. Go for it. Oh, nice, already. We have an option to pretend this is our flip turn as well. Flipping is quite good into Kassai. It's all just value plays back and forth. All just value plays. Take 2 down to 17. Still have the flexibility of not necessarily needing to. It'd be blocking with Blood Rush though. Ugh. We could also YOLO the Blood Rush 50-50. That might be the way to go out. I do have to leave for dinner. It could be the way to go out. Just YOLO the 50-50. Sounds pretty awful. Sounds pretty awful. We're just gonna do this. Okay, well, we did draw into a 3-card 18, so we're not gonna rag on that draw sequence. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I will take a 3-card 18. Is sitting on Art of War not worth 2 points of life? It actually might have been, simply because we haven't drawn into Slithering yet the entire early game. So the ceiling of Art of War, yes, would be worth definitely that, if not more. But it really comes down to, is that Art of War converting into either like a swing big turn or a Slithering turn? If it's not, then I wouldn't count it as worth 2 points. So it would have been waiting in Arsenal this entire time. This hand would have been pretty nuts, though, to be fair, to have an Art of War. The Dread is still okay. It's still passable. Alright, we're getting into the territory of Husk being under threat anyway. We don't have like a super clean flip hand because we can't block with Slithering, which is kind of unfortunate. Otherwise, blocking with these, summoning Blasmo, swinging, would be an insane flip turn. So we might just have to not flip this turn. Go instead for go instead for like a block type of angle into Dread Slithering Arsenal Doomsday for the next turn, if that's even possible. If that's even possible. So we saw something we weren't supposed to see. That is a blue unmovable in hand, which is kind of interesting. The card does actually nothing. So if we play as if we didn't know what that card was, you know. I mean, I guess it could still pay into an attack react here and then Grains of Blood Spill. So if they're running the 1-cost attack react, sometimes they run Stroke of Foresight, which granted, like, we have not seen that yet, but it is in some lists. Or maybe it pays into another overpower. Oh, I really wish this card blocked. I would just happily give this Doomsday Flip more than anything. But they are at 8, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. We can just block like this. Dread Screamer into Slithering is probably just fine. Or our 2-card hand of just play Doomsday, Banish Slithering is also fine. If we do this and they do have a pump 3, we actually have the flexibility of flipping still. If we don't block with those and they have a pump 3, then we never flip. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. If you ever draw a Shadowpede and think the Art of War makes up for the value of sending a blue Screamer instead of a Writhing. I don't know if that comment came late, but yes, I did say that. Okay, so now we still have the option to flip next turn, which I think is just too damn good to ignore. Yeah, our turn should definitely just be Doomsday, not banish the Slithering now. There's no way we can go into next turn and still protect the flip without any armor. I guess the difference would be presenting 4 more damage to not summon Blasmafet. That can't be right. To not summon Blasmafet and pretend that the flip comes later? No goddamn way. No goddamn way. I'm taking this damn flip. Yes. Alright. That's like one of the... Okay, if this card blocked, then we have like the best flip turn known to man. Because you could just block with that card, summon Blasmo, and there you go. Also, I haven't been saying it, but they did crack a stack of copper for a cash-in, I'm pretty sure, is where that first stack of copper went. I don't see it anymore. We do have 2 Dread Screamers. This is like such a stacked Banish Zone. Like, there's nothing in the world that could make us block here, I don't think. That's not true. That's not true. It is once again a Spoils of War. They did pitch a Blood in our hands. What's the possibility they hit and have another Blood in our hands? Actually, could it be high? I mean, otherwise, why would they block with Blood in their hands there? My hand only blocks 9. Maybe I am supposed to block. Is them hitting with another... Is them hitting and then triggering Blood in their hands that much of a like game over scenario? They have not triggered Kassai, so they would still need to pay for all the Saber swings. So it'd have to be a Blood in her hands and then a blue just for 3 more swings. I don't think I care. Send it. This could be so wrong. We'll see. We'll see what happens. What if it's another cash-in into all of that? And then they draw into the Blood in her hands blue. No, no, no. Surely I just take all of this. Take it. We do have 4 misses, so the turn can go haywire, to be fair. The turn could go haywire. But we can use all our blues pretty happily. We can go Dread, into Swing Big, Arsenal the Slithering. He's pretty good, and most likely lethal. If we don't want to swing the Swing Big and instead just attack the Blasmo, we might as well block with this to make our graveyard a little bit better. I don't hate that, in all honesty, because one of the ways we do, not lose, but like throw this free win is missing. So I think this is fine. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. If we keep the Swing Big though, then it's 4, 10, 18 I mean, it's still not going to kill them. It's going to take another couple turns to kill them. So I think I'm fine with this. Alright. Let's get this out of Arsenal first, just in case we do miss. Man, it'd be so sad if we missed, though. It'd be so sad. So sad. Okay, we did not miss. There's actually an argument to keeping the barraging in Arsenal over the slithering as well, because we do have another Dread Screamer, so the play where we go Dread into barraging into attack is like pretty live. So I actually, yeah, I think I favor the barraging in Arsenal. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting so close to the end of the game. I think the barraging as an ender is better than just like another attack. Oh, gimme. No way you lethal. Okay, actually, hold up. Hold up. They did find a blood in her hands. However, they need to pay for their swings, right? So the way this falls apart on me is if I let this hit, they pay into gold and then keep going. So I just don't want to let this hit ever. Is that what I have to do here? So I guess if I just give the blood rush, it looks sad, but I think I just have to give the blood rush here, right? Is like how this works out. Because I need this first attack not to hit for it to fall apart. Because as soon as they like pay this into the next attacks, we're fine. Okay. Because now they've had to pitch. Oh, well, they still have 2 floating because it is a blue. So this hits. They draw a card. If I just double block, then what am I faced with? Not lethal, right? And then my turn can still just be Dread into Blasmo. So I think this is once again the safer play. This is like the I don't lose play, I'm pretty sure. Because now the gold is impossible to use. Oh, I'm a little too hungry to think this one through properly, but I'm pretty sure that all checks out. I'm pretty sure. No, they had the option here to just kill Blasmo with those 2 swings, but instead they're going to go face. I live at 1. Or no, I live at 2. And then I just go Dread into Blasmo. Or wait, do I just go Writhing? I forgot I had a Writhing in there. I did not see that. I have a Writhing. So is it just game if I go Barraging into Writhing? I mean, I could miss. I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 misses. But if I do it, even if they have a D-React, they do die. They do die. No, surely I can... I mean, this still takes, what, not all their cards in theory. But do I have to do that to win now? If I go Dread into the Blasmo, then Dread takes 2 cards. The Blasmophet, I mean, it takes 1 card, and Dynamo, they go to 1. With that last card, they can draw into gold and try to do something. I feel like that still puts me in a position to potentially lose. Sorry, thinking. I feel like that puts me in a position to still potentially lose. If they keep 1 card and draw with gold. Is Dread into Barraging Blasmo good enough? I don't get the pump, but if I take 2 cards there... Nope, because it still guarantees leaves them with 1 card, which is kind of the problem, right? I kind of feel like I have to do the Barraging play. Because I think there's a real scenario where I lose to them keeping 1 card. Pay into gold. No, I don't. I don't lose to that, right? What would be the one card that wins in the game? There just isn't one, right? There's not one card that wins in the game in that spot. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Alright, sync. They go to 2. Alright, all my cards block anyway. Dread barraging Blasmo? That's not confirmed lethal at all. How is that confirmed lethal? This does not pump Blasmafet. This does not pump Blasmafet. All it does is take a card, and they're always surviving with one card, not having to block. That is not confirmed lethal. I mean, look at what literally just happened, right? It doesn't matter. That is not card of the hand. People, literally look at the board. If I intimidate this card, they live at either 2 or 1, no matter what. Because this does not give +2 to Blasmafet. If it gave +2 to Blasmafet, yes, it does kill them. But it does not give +2 to Blasmafet, because Blasmafet is not a brute attack. You understand how it works? You get it? Do we have a 1 cost? Yes, we do. For the Dread Screamer? No, because they just give 2 cards and it falls apart, right? Plus it's actually feeding misses into the graveyard, which is like the entire point of what we don't want to do. Right? You see, people. You see. Force the 2-card block, then Blasmo? That does not change anything. That does not change anything. Do you understand? There's no difference in intimidating that card for either +2 on the Dread or the Blasmafet. Barraging into Beast Hulk was lethal, but we had 5 misses in the graveyard, and then if you barraging, it's another miss in the graveyard. So what we were trying to figure out is, do we lose to them keeping 1 card? Which we do not lose to them keeping 1 card. Just don't miss. No, the difference is we do not lose to them keeping 1 card. So playing for the Dread to trim the graveyard into Blasmo flip, so that we can just kill with Rising on a turn where the graveyard looks a bit better, is more guaranteed, which is like basically what we're seeing now. Basically what we're seeing now. We also can just do the Convulsions play instead, because now this confirm kills as well. See? Because now at this point, that breakpoint always kills even if they have a D-React. So it's just much more guaranteed. Alright, with that, I'm going to dinner. But that is 6-0 with the kind of tuned up 20k list. GG's. GG's. 6-0 for the day with the edited 20k list. I really think, like, you're going to play Leviat RTNs, you play this build. This build is so much... It's just so much tighter than trying to play any of the other stuff. So... I think the one thing we didn't talk about was the Hungering should probably be Mark again. I don't actually know if we really came across... I don't know if we came across Mark the Beast actually being any better than Hungering Slaughter Beast in that kind of situation. I really don't know if that came up. But regardless, Mark of the Beast is probably better than Hungering, because this is a type of list where you don't need to worry about siding out your Blood Debt cards into mech, which is the main difference of wanting to run Hungering over the Mark. So I'd ship this pretty instantly, honestly, because if you look at like the Bravo game or like a more fatiguey Victor game, the Mark of the Beast is better than Hungering. And I think that's the only time it did come up, was Mark the Beast, the fact that it wouldn't eat your graveyard. Because we did have 2 turns that game, I believe, that were just 2-card 6. And that 2-card 6 was yellow Hungering. So in that Bravo game in particular, if that Bravo's playing correctly and doesn't swing at us, I think the Mark of the Beast is the difference maker then. Because we taxed an extra 6 cards out of our graveyard by playing yellow Hungering that we just wouldn't have to do if it was Mark. So, alright, I'm going to call that pretty good. That's it, people. That's it, people. Going to dinner, going to have this lovely evening with Woman Sant, kind of like a Valentine's Day part 2. But there it is. if you want to play Levia this weekend, start here. There's all kinds of other spice you could do, but we want to see our girl overtake KO, because it is kind of ridiculous that KO has more living legend points than Levia, and Levia's been out for 3 years. So, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Please, I'm not playing in any RTNs, but please, people, go out there and do your part. The deck is nuts. The deck is so good. There's so much to think through. I made at least two pretty egregious mistakes. One was pretty medium, and that was in, you know, a 6-run tournament. Like, I mean, it's not a tournament. It's just Talshar, but like, whatever. We got good matchups to explore. Did I come across a KO? I did not come across a KO. KO is a face-up matchup. Like, he's not doing anything tricky. It's just damage. You're just damage. His little bump in consistency is equalized by your little bump in armor. If you flip, you are just a better deck. If you don't flip, you are just a worse deck. That's basically it. There's not much more to it. It is that surface level. So yeah, I would say in that matchup, trimming some of the non-blocks, like we did in this build, to be fair, like we did, and then just playing as tight as possible to protect a flip turn is how you get ahead versus KO. But that matchup is also just a brute matchup. Like, sometimes it's just who drew more damage, and there's no choices you get to make. Kind of boring, but it is what it is. You can make that matchup a little bit better if you, for example, if there's no Kanos in your area. I think you can trim some of like that part of the list and just run like Hold the Line. And Hold the Line is much better than like Smashback Ailhorn in that matchup. Smashback Ailhorn in that matchup, you're probably never getting room to play it. You're probably never getting room to block with it. If you are, it's terrible, right? It's a 2-block. So that kind of swap towards like a Hold the Line actually does give you points, because now you're blocking 5 on a card, which in a straight numbers game, I mean, why not, right? That is good. Plus, it gives you ability to turn off pulping, which can also be pretty cute. So you can do some stuff to make it better, but as this list stands, I think it's mostly just who draws damage. But there you go. That's it, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Levia OP. What is tomorrow? Friday? I don't know. I might stream tomorrow. Like I said, I've got a dinner party on Saturday, so might just be cooking all day tomorrow in preparation for it. Who knows? Life's good, though. Hopefully you all are also good. Much love. I will see you all next time. Woo! Step, arms, spin. What? Woo! And slide and tango. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh.